Name's Carl Jameson, but that really doesn't matter. Not for this. What matters is that I wasn't some weekend camper or city guy playing mountain man. I've spent most of my life outdoors, surveying logging tracks, pipeline corridors, and wildfire damage zones. I know maps better than streets. I know how to read wind by how it tastes, and I don't scare easy. At least I didn't back then. I always liked the jobs nobody else wanted, the remote ones. Long stretches without people, just work, weather, and whatever you carried on your back. Some folks get uneasy when it's that quiet. Not me. Or, that's what I used to think. Sorry, give me a second. Anyway, this contract came through a small environmental firm out of the coast. Straightforward gig. Assess soil stability and erosion risk in a place called Ash Valley. It wasn't always called that. Used to be a watershed with a different name, but after the fire, one of those record breakers that burned hotter than it should have, everything changed. The whole basin cooked. Trees flash burned. Topsoil turned to powder. Nothing regrew. They needed a report before approving redevelopment permits. I'd done 100 like it. The only catch was the location. No roads, no trail access. The only way in was a float plane that would drop me at a dead lake and come back for me 4 days later. No cell service, no radio towers, just a satellite text beacon for the kind of emergency where you're bleeding out and don't have time to argue. That didn't bother me. I'd done longer stretches with less. Truth is, I was looking forward to the quiet. The pilot didn't talk much on the way in, most don't. But when we got close, he kept glancing at the tree line, then at me, like he wanted to say something. The air smelled like old charcoal, dry, dusty, faintly metallic. Even before we landed, I noticed something odd. Normally, a burn zone gets reclaimed fast. Brush, beetles, birds picking through. But this place, there was nothing. No movement on the water, no ripples, no bugs hitting my face. Just stillness. When the float skimmed the lake, the sound echoed too far, like we were landing inside a hollow shell. The pilot cut the engine, and the silence that followed felt thick. I remember clearing my throat just to hear something. He helped unload my gear: North Ridge all-weather tent, Krieger carbon tripod, 2 Pelican cases with core samplers and moisture probes, freeze-dried meals, mostly chili mac and beef stew, the kind that tastes like salt and cardboard but keeps you moving. Standard pack-out, practical, familiar. Before he climbed back in, he said, "Text if you need pickup sooner." But the way he looked at the shoreline like he was waiting for something to move made my stomach tighten. I told him I'd be fine. He didn't smile, just taxied out, turned, and lifted off. And then I was alone. The shoreline was ringed with dead pines, black spires without needles. The bark had peeled away in long, curly strips, exposing pale wood that looked like bone. When the wind blew, the branches knocked together with a hollow clack like loose teeth. The ground was covered in gray ash. Not soil, ash. Every step sent up a puff that hung in the air longer than it should have. I could smell it through the dust filter on my mask, burnt resin, old smoke, something sour underneath. But the worst part, the part that didn't make sense, was the silence. A dead forest should still have insects, flies, ants, something. But there was nothing, no birds, no gnats, no buzzing, just wind threading through dead limbs, making a low whistle that sounded too much like breathing. I told myself it was just the atmosphere. Burn zones can create weird acoustics. I logged the observation like I always do. Objective, professional, detached. but the hair on the back of my neck stood up anyway. I walked inland to find a good high spot for camp. The ash was ankle-deep in some places, and it shifted like talcum powder. Each step made a dry crunch. My boots left perfect prints, and for some reason, I found myself looking back at them, checking if anything stepped in them after me. Nothing did. Of course, nothing did. I picked a spot against a rock outcrop, solid footing, good windbreak. I set up the North Ridge tent, staked it deep, ran guy lines, checked my inventory, water purifier, topo maps, sample tubes, GPS logger, flare sticks, satellite beacon. You don't skip steps in remote work. Routine keeps you steady. Routine keeps you sane. While I boiled water for the first meal, freeze-dried chili mac, the smell of propane hung in the dead air. Normally that smell mixes with pine, soil, decaying leaves. Here it mixed with ash. I could taste it in my teeth. My tongue felt gritty. When the water rolled to a boil, the sound felt too loud. I caught myself listening, waiting to hear something else answer it. Nothing did. I told myself I liked the solitude. That's what I always said. But as the sun dropped, the shadows between the dead T-runks got darker, faster than they should have. Not gradual, just there. One moment daylight, the next a kind of murky dimness. And when the wind died, the silence pressed in so hard, I felt it in my chest. I remember writing in my field log, Day 1, camp established, weather stable, no wildlife activity detected. Then I paused. I added, silence notable, unsettling. I don't know why I wrote that. I shouldn't have needed to. I ate the chili mac. It tasted like paste. My jaw tensed the whole time, like my body expected a sound, any sound, to break the quiet. The air was cold, but when I wiped my forehead, my hand came back damp. Sweat. I told myself it was just from the hike. When I crawled into the tent, the nylon smelled like plastic and old rain, familiar, safe. I zipped the door, turned off the headlamp, and lay there listening, not to sounds, but to the lack of them. My heartbeat felt too loud. My breathing felt too loud. The ground under me felt hollow, like there was space beneath it. At some point I must have slept, not deeply, just enough to lose time. When I opened my eyes, I thought I heard something outside. Not movement, not an animal. More like the sound of ash shifting. A soft pat. Then another. Like someone brushing their hand across the ground. I held my breath, listened hard. Nothing. Just silence again. Heavy. Smothering. I told myself it was wind, even though there wasn't any. I rolled over, closed my eyes, and tried to slow my breathing. Told myself I'd laugh about it in the morning, but I didn't laugh. And I didn't feel alone. That's enough for now. That's how it started, back when I still thought it was just another job. So yeah, first night out there, I barely slept. And I know you guys are gonna say I was just spooked because it was quiet, but listen, this was different. I've slept in silent woods before. I've slept through storms, animal scrapes, even that time Carl's dog kept farting in the tent on that elk trip. Yeah, you remember. But this was the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. Anyway, at some point I drifted off again, and the next time I woke up, I checked my watch. 2:07 a.m. I don't know why that time stuck with me, but it did. It was like I just snapped awake. No dream, no noise, just up. At first, all I noticed was that same dead silence. No wind hitting the tent fabric, no creaking trees, just nothing. I could hear my heartbeat in my jaw. My tongue felt dry, even though I wasn't thirsty. I lay there real still, trying to figure out what woke me. And then I smelled it. Not wood smoke, not ash, not a dead animal like you'd expect out there. This was wet, musky, sour, like garbage left in the sun, but mixed with wet dog and something sweet underneath. Sweet in a way that made my stomach flip, like antifreeze or rotten fruit. It came in through the tent fabric in a thick wave, like it had weight. I remember breathing shallow, trying not to taste it. My eyes watered a little, and then, just as quick as it came, it faded. Gone, like it moved past. I told myself it had to be a dead elk somewhere nearby. Happens all the time after burns. Injured animals crawl off and die later. That's what I told myself, and I forced myself to believe it. Rolled over, closed my eyes, didn't sleep much after that. Morning came. Gray light, no bird song, of course. I made coffee on the stove, and even the smell of it felt wrong in that place. Too normal, too alive. I kept looking over my shoulder like something should be standing there. But I had work to do, so I packed up the sampling kit and headed toward a ridge marked on the topo map. Every step kicked up ash that coated my boots like powder sugar. The air tasted like minerals and old smoke. And the whole time I kept listening, hoping to hear anything alive. A squirrel, a raven, hell, even a mosquito, nothing. When I got up to the ridge, that's when I saw the tracks. At first I thought they were bear prints, big ones. But the ash held shape really well, and the more I looked, the more something felt off. They were long, too long. And the spacing, whatever made them, was walking upright, 2 feet, heel to toe, and the stride was wide, like someone tall, real tall. Now, look, I know what you're thinking, and yeah, I thought it too. But I shut that door immediately, told myself it was a grizzly with burned paws, walking weird on its hind legs to avoid putting weight on the front. That made sense. That was logical. I could work with that. Except the tracks were deep, way deeper than mine. And I had 50 pounds of gear on my back. I stood there way too long staring at them. I kept rubbing my neck, and that's when I realized the hair was standing up. Not just a little, full bristle. Like static, like something was watching me from the tree line. And those trees, black trunks, thousands of them, every shadow looked like a shape. Every shape looked like it could move if it wanted to. I told myself to knock it off. I even laughed out loud just to hear a human sound. But hearing my own voice out there made it worse. It sounded swallowed. Small. On the way back to camp, I kept turning around. Didn't mean to. My body just did it. Every twig that snapped under my boot sounded like a gunshot in that silence, and sometimes, I swear, I heard snaps that weren't mine. Just one, then nothing, then another farther away. But I told myself it was branches shifting in the wind. Except there wasn't any wind. Night 2 was worse. I ate beef stew out of the pouch, but it tasted metallic, like the spoon was corroding. The air got colder fast. The light died early again, like someone dimmed a switch. When I climbed into the tent, I kept the zipper open just an inch, like I wanted to hear outside. I don't know why. Curiosity, stupidity, something. And then that smell came back. Stronger, heavy. It filled the tent like someone exhaled through the fabric. My eyes stung. My throat tightened. I held my breath without meaning to. I could feel sweat bead at the base of my spine, even though the air was cold. Then came the sounds. Not animal sounds, not any I knew. First, it was like rocks clacking together in a slow rhythm. Clack, clack, clack. Not fast, not random. Like someone trying to copy the sound of tools but getting it slightly wrong. Then it stopped. Silence again. Thick, pressing. I was gripping the sleeping bag so hard my knuckles hurt. My breathing felt too loud. I reached into the gear pocket and pulled out the bear spray and flare gun, held one in each hand. Felt stupid doing it, but also felt like not doing it would be worse. And then, the other sound. At first it sounded like a woman coughing. Not loud, just a dry chest-deep cough, like someone sick trying not to be heard. But the tone was wrong, too low, too thick, like it came from a chest bigger than a human chest should be. It echoed off the dead trees like it wasn't sure how to imitate the sound right. I froze, didn't breathe. My heart hammered so hard I felt it in my gums. The cough came again, farther away this time, then nothing. No footsteps, no brush, just stillness. I lay there for hours, eyes wide, waiting for something else, waiting for the smell to come back, for the clacking, for the cough. But nothing came, and that was almost worse. I didn't sleep, not even for a minute. I just lay there in that dead quiet, holding that flare gun like it was a crucifix, counting my breaths, telling myself over and over, it's just a bear, it's just the wind, it's just in your head. But I didn't believe it, not anymore. And I sure as hell didn't feel alone. So day 3, yeah. By then I was running on fumes. My hands shook when I packed my gear, and every time I bent down to take a soil sample, I kept looking over my shoulder like some skittish rookie. I tried to focus on the work, measurements, moisture readings, sample bags, but my brain kept replaying that cough, that rhythm of rocks, that smell. I told myself I'd finish the last transect and head back early, be productive, stay rational. But the whole hike back to camp, I had that prickling feeling between my shoulders, like someone was walking a few steps behind me, but stopping every time I stopped. The silence made it worse. My breathing sounded like it belonged to someone else. When I finally crested the rise above camp, I knew something was wrong before I saw it. The air smelled stirred. Not wind, just displaced. Like something big had been moving there recently. And then I saw the tent. It wasn't shredded like a bear would do. It wasn't toppled or dragged. It was opened. The zippers were undone, carefully, smoothly, like someone with fingers had operated them. My gear wasn't scattered. It was laid out, arranged. The metal stakes from the tent were lined up in a perfect straight row. My cooking gear was set in a neat spiral. My socks, still damp from sweat, were spread out side by side, paired like someone was studying them. And then I saw the handprint, huge, mud smeared across the rainfly. But the shape, Jesus. The thumb sat too low, too far down the palm, like the joint was in the wrong place, like whatever made it wasn't built the way we're built. The sight of it hit me like a punch to the gut. My denial, everything I'd been telling myself, just cracked. I remember whispering, nope, no, I'm done. Like saying it quietly would keep the trees from hearing me. I stuffed what I could in my pack, left half my equipment behind, didn't care. My only thought was the extraction lake. 4 days be damned. I was leaving. The light started dying faster than it should have again. A low fog seeped in between the charred trunks, drifting around my knees, then my waist. The air got colder. The smell of ash mixed with that musky rot, faint but present, like a warning. And that's when I saw it. Up on a ridge about 100, maybe 150 yards ahead, silhouetted against the gray sky. Huge, 8, maybe 9 feet tall, broad shoulders, long arms. Its outline didn't look right, like its joints bent differently. It wasn't standing still. It was swaying side to side, slow, like it was keeping rhythm with its own heartbeat. I stopped breathing, couldn't move, couldn't blink. Then it made a sound, low, hollow, a kind of hoot that vibrated in my chest like someone plucked a cable inside me. I felt it more than heard it. My knees damn near buckled. I backed away, slow at first, then faster. Tactical retreat, like we practiced in field safety drills. But let's be real. It was panic wearing a thin coat of discipline. The fog closed in, and soon I couldn't see the ridge anymore, but I could hear it. Heavy footfalls, bipedal, not running, just following, pacing me, flanking me from above on a parallel ridgeline. Every few seconds, a thud, not like a branch falling, but like a tree being struck. A deep resonant crack, like a baseball bat smashing against a telephone pole. Then another, from different directions, like signals. The ash puffed up around my boots with every step. My mouth tasted like metal and fear. I kept moving, stumbling, checking my back so often I nearly ran into trees. My heartbeat was so loud, I thought whatever was following could track me by sound alone. Eventually, the dark got too thick to trust my footing. I found a rock depression, just a shallow bowl between slabs, and crawled in. I pulled my pack in front of me like a shield. My hands cramped around the bear spray and flare gun again. The air smelled like damp fur and rot. And then it circled. I could hear it breathing, slow and heavy. Sometimes a grunt, sometimes a huff, like it was testing the air. Once I heard its weight shift on gravel, just feet from the edge of the rocks. The stench rolled in waves, wet dog, garbage, sweetness, that made bile rise in my throat. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I needed to see. Maybe I needed proof. Maybe I wanted to scare it off. But I raised the flare gun and fired straight up. The red light burst, and for a heartbeat, just a heartbeat, the whole world turned blood-colored. And there it was, 30 feet away, peering over a boulder. A face, huge, broad, heavy-browed. Not human, not ape. Something in between, but wrong. Eyes set deep, skin rough like bark. No expression, just watching me, studying me. And its mouth hung slightly open, like it was breathing in my fear. The flare hissed out, and darkness slammed back. I didn't move the rest of the night. Couldn't. My muscles locked up. My teeth chattered, not from cold, but from shock. The thing shifted around a few more times, huffed once more, then let out a low rumble, almost inaudible. But I felt the vibration throughout my entire body. And then silence. When dawn finally came, the light felt thin, like it didn't want to touch the ground. I forced myself out of that rock pocket and started moving. Didn't check behind me, didn't stop to drink, didn't breathe deep, just moved. 3 miles to the lake, but it felt like 30. Every step I expected a hand, too big, too low-thumbed, to close around my neck. When I broke through the dead pines and saw the water, I almost fell to my knees. The float plane was already there, pilot early for once. He saw me coming and froze. I must have looked like hell, ash-covered, eyes wide, shaking. He didn't ask a damn thing, just waved me in, started the engine, and kept looking at the tree line like he expected something to step out after me. When we lifted off, I felt as though I could finally breathe, and I swear, just before the tree line shrank away, I saw movement, tall, still, watching. I never finished the report. I quit surveying a week later, sold my gear, haven't set foot in the woods since, not even for a roadside lookout. You couldn't pay me enough. You couldn't drag me. And listen, because I'm only saying this once, there are places on the map where you would think nothing lives. Places that look empty, dead, harmless. But they aren't empty. They're occupied. And we're not meant to be there. We're just not meant to be there.